Welcome back to another episode of the Coach's Hour. It's your host, Hym, and I'm joined with my co-host, Jewade Graham, as usual. And today we're diving into the gym rent model. If you're a personal trainer working in a gym, you've probably dealt with the pressures of paying rent for space, even though you're not getting a wage. So you might be employed, but it's the only job that I know that you have to actually pay the employers. So in today's episode, we're going to explore the pros and the cons of these models, why some trainers work really well and why others struggle, and what could be the future of these coaching models. So before we get into it though, if you've been listening to the podcast and you've been enjoying it, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a review, leave us a comment, or share your thoughts. It will really help us to improve and get better at what we do. So let's get into today's topic of the gym rent model. So
before we start, what is the typical gym rent model for anyone that might not know?
I think it's and it may have changed now, but I think the typical one is where you get hired by the gym and you have to pay a certain fee to use the facilities every single month. Some places I know when I started, they gave you almost like rent, right? You get half price for that, or free for the first month, half price for the second month, and then you go full blown in the third month, right? I don't know if that still exists now.
Yeah, so from my experience, there's a couple of options. So that does exist in some places, and some places slightly tweak it as well. But essentially, the first option is you've got no money, you've got no clients. You'll go into a gym, a large gym group chain, and you'll work 12 hours of taking classes, cleaning equipment, doing inductions, and you won't have to pay any rent. And you can stay on that for as long as possible. But that does mean that if you've got 0 clients, you'll be working 12 hours for 0 pence. So you will not ever get any money until you pick up your clients. But then on the flip side of that, you don't have to pay gym rent. Now, gym rent is typically anywhere between £500 to £700 in most places. So if you're not doing £500 to £700 in most places, a month. Yeah, in most places.
That kind of works. So I'm working up numbers, right, and crunching it. That's kind of if you think of the 12 hours, that's actually a low key increase in terms of your rent. So if you think, let's say you're charging £50 an hour, right, for PT, and it's probably more now, right? So this is going to be even larger. If you're doing 12 hours, that's £60 a week. So that would mean you're paying, your gym rent is quite substantial for that. So yeah, I don't know if you're saving money or...
Well, because this is what we can talk about as well, is how I would leverage it and how you would leverage it, because there's a few things that I would do to work my way up to maybe coming off and going on to full rent. But that's the first one. So you do your 12 hours. And the second one is once you've got yourself in, you can have 1 month free, essentially. Some places do 1 month free, next month 50%, third month 75%, and then fourth month you'll be paying full rent. So that if it's £500, first month you'll pay 125, 250, 375, and then 500. So it kind of goes like that.
Yes,
in most places. There are some differences.
So and what's that in price in terms of numbers? So if you're charging £50 a month per session, right, and then you have to do 12 hours a week, that's £600, for a week. So if you times that by 4, that means your gym rent that you're really paying, it could be £2,400, man.
Why? In terms of what you're missing out on.
Yeah. So if you're doing, let's say if we work out as hours of PT, right? So if it's 12 hours a week. Times by £50, let's say £50 a session, right? That's £600 a week.
Yeah.
That's multiply that by 4 in a month. That's £2,400
that you're potentially missing on.
And what you were saying, roughly £500 to £700, right? Where would you say that is?
Yeah, that's about right.
Is that in Birmingham, North?
No, even in London,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
It can be a little bit more expensive, but about that.
Depends on the branch, right?
Yes, but
that's probably more like a pure gym group kind of thing. If you're looking at Gym Box, I think they're looking in the city easily at 1,500.
Yeah, and it does, because you just said you're losing money.
Yeah,
and we'll come into this as well, because I think I don't want to shoot off into leveraging how you're losing money and why you're potentially not losing money at the same time. So we've got this model. In your opinion, in your experience, what's wrong or what has been wrong with that model? And wrong might be not the right word, but what would you change or like to see different?
In terms, so this model where you have to do like service hours, right?
Yes.
What is wrong with it? Obviously, you're just completely taking advantage of your staff, right? And these, I think one thing that's really important is like these 12 hours are not, they're not the nice, like it's usually like 6 and 6, right? So there's 2 days and it's not going to be like, oh, you know, I've got clients. No, these are the days that you just have to, you get given and you have to block them out. So it could be 7 a.m. till you're probably going to have a morning and evening shift, right?
It's normally 3 4s.
Oh, three sets of 4s.
Yeah, so normally it's like a 6 a.m. till 10 a.m., a 6 p.m. till 10 p.m., a 12-4 and a 4-8, like that. So like you'll do 3 days, 4 hours a day.
So yeah, somewhere is going to interrupt your schedule, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes really difficult unless you can switch shifts with someone. But it becomes really difficult for you sometimes to manage your own PT sessions, right? Because people want to have consistency, 3 days a week, whatever. So I guess that's one of the issues.
Yeah.
The second, I think losing money, like if you're going to do it, this is if you're a really busy PT, right?
But then I think as well, because that is very true, but in my head, when I think about this, it's more designed for people that are just entering the industry, because if you're a busy PT, you probably would just pay rent. Like,
yeah, completely.
Yeah, because a lot of gyms don't enforce that you do shifts. I think it's a nice option, or can be a nice option. Like if you've just qualified, you've got no experience, no clients, it's a nice foot in the door. But you are, at some point when you do get more experience, you will be losing money in terms of what you could be getting for that hour. And
you're just trading money for time, right? So at the beginning, you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
So you're just giving that away, right?
And like what I find is that there's a lack of support so I'm going to pigeonhole this into new PTs, because mostly new PTs are going to do that. So if you're a new PT, the one thing that you do need is support when you first come into the gym, because you're in a new industry, you're self-employed, running your own business, which means you have to sell the program, design the program, and then deliver the program. It's a lot going on for someone that's new. And a lot of the main gym groups, I say gym groups, not the gym group, the main gyms, they don't support their coaches. So like they'll bring them in, they'll offer support, but when that coach actually gets in, it's not.
It's fake, innit?
And it happened with one of my clients recently. So I always get my clients to sit in certain positions in the gym when they're on shift or off shift, so just being visible. And the gym manager walked past my client, noticed that they was watching one of my videos just randomly, and said, what you doing here? And the guy was like, I'm just watching my mentor's videos. What's your mentor doing? He's helping me build my PT business, my gym floor PT business. And the manager said, we've got whoever this person's name is doing that. Does that mean we don't have to? And straight away, like my client was like, nah, this guy's got it. And I said to my client, no, next time, say yes, you still do have to, because it was like the manager said that like, phew, we don't have to. Whereas like, and the support that is there is non-existent. Like there is no real.
I think their support is, and this is me talking way back, I'm talking maybe 10 years ago for me. It's always like their support is, we'll give you leads. Right, so anyone new that signs up to the gym, I'm going to be like, hey, look, you give them an induction. It's not really a lead. That's just a person that you're introducing me to do the fucking job that you want me to do anyway.
It's like give a man a fish or teach him how to fish, because you'll give someone a lead, but then not tell them how to turn that lead into a sale. Yeah. And there's a difference there. And I think they are getting better, because like I've had some conversations with some gyms recently, and it's like we now have this in place, but it's normally they have things in place for people that are still qualifying within whatever qualification they offer. As soon as they're qualified, there's not that bridge between being qualified and being self-sustained. And that's where a lot of PTs slip through the gap. And I think like one of the things that can be done better is, as you said, like, not the lead isn't a lead. It's only a lead when you understand that it actually is a lead, that you actually understand how to take someone through their goals, to show them the gym and show them how the gym links into their goals, and then to be confident enough to offer an assessment or a consultation. That's when that person becomes a lead. But at the moment, from my understanding, there's not really that there.
It's an introduction.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, have you met Ted? And it's like, you go and chat with this person now. It's like, well, how? I don't even know how to speak, kind of thing.
They've not like hyped you up or anything. You know what I mean? And that's definitely a big issue when it comes to these kind of gyms. They just kind of leave you there. And do you know what the biggest thing is with these people as well? Is that they're often a PT manager, but they're not fucking busy themselves. So what are you teaching me? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you actually teaching me about leads and lead generation and capturing clients? Because you don't have a fucking good client base either.
And I think, like, the gym manager role is changing. And that's why I say I do think it's getting better, but it probably could get better at a quicker rate. And it's just because, like, the gym manager will have a lot of things to deal with, like client retention, bringing new clients in, making sure the toilets are fucking unblocked, making sure classes are actually run and filled, and Yeah. They might not have the time to facilitate every individual PT, but that still doesn't mean that the PT doesn't need help. And I think some gyms are now have like a PT manager role, but then I think it's still fairly new to the point where the PT managers aren't helping PTs essentially develop. Like, there's no real education system there or anything else. So, like, what you said about management is true, but then I believe, like, their attention is elsewhere on the bigger picture, which is keeping the gym alive. And there is a gap where a PT manager or something should be there to do that.
Because they probably don't get any bonuses if...
Exactly, like,
If you as a random PT stay in the team for longer, they retain you, they're going to get a better bonus if more members people sign up, exactly, or members, whatever, right?
That's a really good point. And with the industry how it is, like, more people are joining the industry, loads are leaving, but there is going to be a conveyor belt of PTs that are just coming into the gym, and whether they succeed or don't, most gyms will...
It's going to be a new...
there's going to be someone else come... Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's a revolving door. So I think that would only really change if people stopped qualifying, but I don't see that happening.
They know that because they're offering you have the privilege to work at my gym and you still have to do 12 hours for me, and then you get to earn money yourself.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Like, which job does that?
But I think, like, a lot of people are clocking, a lot of PTs are clocking on, and a lot of independent gyms are also clocking on as well. So this is why I think the shift is happening, and I think it's happening a bit quicker. So when I say independent gyms are clocking on, what's happening is there are a lot of independent gyms that they don't have a gym rent model at all. What they say is, as long as the PT comes in and shows their qualifications, so we've got it on file, and they have a membership, as long as their client has a membership, you can train. So there's no gym rent model. And when I think about it, it's genius because the retention is there. Like, members just pay the membership. But if you're a personal trainer and you don't need to rely on the gym to have members, you can just bring a mate in and say, just get a day pass, £5, or get your membership 30 to 50 quid a month, depending on which area you are. I'm talking about Midlands. And I can train you. And it's like, if you think about a £600 gym rent versus a £30 gym membership, it's a no-brainer. And I think this has been happening for a little while. Like, I train in like a bodybuilder's gym, and originally they had a couple of branches just around me, around the Midlands. They're expanding like wildfire, and they've all got this model. And there's a couple of other gyms now that I've noticed that, I say independent, but they were independent. They've now got like cash behind them, power behind them, leverage behind them. So like they're building chains, and they're just popping up everywhere. And the model is, as long as you've got membership, you can train your clients here. And I think a lot of PTs are, hang on, I'm paying £600 and the equipment oftentimes is better in these
Mm.
more underground gyms than it is in the commercial gyms. So like it's like
as a coach, you can just charge your clients a little bit more, which covers your cost of your membership as well, right? So
like if your membership is £50, if you've got 10 clients, you just put £5 on each client, and it's a no-brainer kind of thing. Or you can just eat that cost up yourself. It's only 50 quid versus the 600.
you might train there anyway.
But then and I think a lot of the more commercial gyms, this might not be why they're changing, but I believe it's because they're catching on. Or if they're not, then it would be foolish, in my opinion, to not be seeing what's going on, because that will take over at some point.
I think it's just difficult. Like places like Gym Group, Pure Gym, they're always going to get money from. They need people to run those classes, right? I think that's the main thing. That's why they have those 12 hours, right? It used to be 10 when I was there. So now it's gone up to 12, which is obviously asking more for you. They're increasing their rent, basically, right?
So it's really interesting, but the 12 hours aren't actually bad, I don't think, to a point.
I think it depends on how you use it.
Exactly.
I think when I say it's bad, we're looking at scaling and like long term. Like if you're busy and you have a lot of sessions, it's probably not it's not going to be that beneficial for you.
Yeah.
You could probably use that 12 hours to rest, or because let's say you got those 12 hours, you got those 4 hour shift, right? Every day you're gonna, let's say you do 4 hours of PT a day, right? Your day it's going to be 8 hours, right? Versus maybe certain days, maybe if you only have 4 hours and, that would be it, right? You could do other shit. It's difficult. Like personal training is it can be really horrible at times,
Yeah.
like when you really live, like do it. And that's why I think it's one of those things where people want to get into it, and loads of people, like people who have been in it, they don't encourage other people to join the industry because it's so
it's
volatile.
Unregulated. Yeah, it's unregulated to an extent. Yeah. But I think like with the hours, the reason why I say it's not bad is because, like, let's say you've got 0 clients. Like if you've got 30 sessions a week, of course you're not going to be doing the 12 hours. But if you've got 0 clients, the classes are good because they get you in. Yeah, they get you in front of, let's say, 10 people a class, and you're doing 3 classes a day or 2 classes a day. It gets you in front of 20 people.
Might be doing inductions. With
exactly.
people.
So you want even cleaning equipment. I made a post today about cleaning equipment, and it's like, if I'm on the gym floor cleaning equipment, no, I don't want to clean equipment, but I'm on the gym floor, which means people will see me. If I've got the branded gym gear on, which says trainer, happy to help, more than likely, if someone sees you and wants some help and you're on the gym floor, rather than being in the office, they're going to ask you for help. So I think in the early stages of building your business, the 12 hours is actually a good thing, because on the flip side of the independent gym, yes, you might only be paying £20 for your membership, £50 for your membership, but the onus is then on you to walk the floor and to drum up clients and to harass members, because everyone's there to train. There's not really classes at these gyms, as far as I know. But if you're at the gym, a commercial gym, it's like you're in front of, the classes have to be run. You're in front of them. You have to take inductions. You're in front of people. And the difference is, like you mentioned, a lot of PTs look down on or despise the 12 hours, whereas the ones that use it, it's like you've done the maths, use it to a point to get yourself busy, and you'll probably have to work the 8-hour days for a couple of months. Yeah. But after a couple of months, you can just drop, because I think some gyms as well, which I didn't mention before, you do 12 hours, then it reduces to 8, then 4, then full rent. So you can kind of, what I would do is, if I'm working...
I think Equinox do that.
Yeah, so it's when you actually break it down, it's not bad, but it's not bad if you've got a strategy of how to get to the other point. A lot of PTs don't have a strategy, and they're on gym rent for years and years and years. Sorry, gym shifts for years and years and years. And that's when it becomes counterproductive. But if, let's say you do a 4 till 8 shift, I'd have my 4 till 8 shift where I'm doing classes, I'm lead generating. I would try and get a 2 p.m. client and a 3 p.m. client. Depending on how I feel, I'd probably try and get an 8 to a 9 client. And I would have my clients around my shifts to begin with, because...
You're in anyway. Right?
I'm in anyway. And I may as well maximize that time and do a full 8-hour day. So I try and get back to back as much as 8 hours as I can. And if I'm on shift, the people that see me on shift will just see me finishing with a client, which means I look popular. I'm not there twiddling my thumbs, which means they'll probably, if I've just done an induction and I've just come from a session into an induction, it's like, oh, I've just had a session. How are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the perception of being busy kind of thing. So I think that can work quite well. But again, it does mean some long hours in the beginning to get yourself into that position.
I think classes are a great lead generation.
100%. And loads of PTs hate them.
Yeah. I think they're great because it just showcases what you can do. So, we were talking about my black eye, right? And doing jiu-jitsu, I think they offer, it's a lot of class-based stuff, right? So you go to your classes, but also each of the coaches, they also do private sessions with you, right? If you want to pay for that. So if you go to the class and you're doing the classes, right, and that coach could potentially just go, I'm just going to, coach, like, just do the bare minimum. But if they spend the time to speak to each, this person, that's potential for you, like, for them to get also a one-to-one client, right? Because someone might be really shit, like myself, and they're like,
but you'll get one-to-one classes.
Yeah, but so you might end up going, do you know what? Fuck it, man. I like this coach. He's coaching me. I'm not quite grasping everything yet. Maybe I'll spend some more time and do some privates with that person. I think it's a very similar thing.
Yeah, 100%. And like, if I was in a position where every PT in my gym didn't like doing classes, I'm taking up extras, and I would do it on top of the 12 hours that I'm doing, because I'm not doing anything. Like, if I've got no clients, I'm not doing anything else anyway. So like, I think the gym shifts, I would say they're both good and bad, dependent on how you utilize them. Like, if you resign yourself to gym shifts for the rest of your life, it probably isn't going to be productive for you. But if you have a way off him, then, and that's the thing, I don't think enough gyms support their PTs to get off gym shifts, but then it's not in their best interest to do that, because if their PT is going to full rent, they'll need another PT to come and do the gym shifts, which, again, like, I'm on the side, I understand why gyms are like that, some gyms, not all, but I'm on the side of the personal trainer and PT development. So for me, I would be asking the question of, like, what are you doing to develop your personal trainers? And I think, like, there's a lot more that can be done with that in terms of, like, having a conveyor belt from gym shifts to being an independent rent-paying PT.
I think, the problem really lies is that they don't necessarily care about the trainer so much. Their main source of revenue, it's evident in the fact that they're not even asking for anything from, they're not asking for any money from these trainers. They just want to trade their time off, right? But really, the thing that they're interested in is the members. Why they want you to give back time is so that you can teach the classes, which then benefits them, because they're like, oh, look, there's more classes here. More classes means that these members are going to stay for longer, or maybe some people join for these classes, right? So
it's an interesting model, and I think, like, I do think it is getting better, but I also think it needs to be better, faster. And I think
it hasn't changed in many years.
Exactly.
My first PT session was like 10 years ago. It's fucking not really changed. If anything, it's got worse. It's fucking 12 hours now.
And yeah, and I think, like, again, it comes back to support, and even, like, the cost of rent. Like, I don't understand, and obviously I'm not a business person, like, the finances probably need to be the way they are to make the gym make profit, but especially when you see these independent gyms, like, just ripping that model up. Like, I don't understand how someone's charging 500 quid, 600 quid, 700 quid for a gym rent, and, like, the gym space in terms of equipment is okay. It can do it, but, like, anyone that understands equipment will realise, like, there are certain brands as a whole that is like.
But that's why you get PTs trying to do the off the book stuff, right? Where they're, like, not logging in sessions that they're doing, because some places obviously take a certain degree of cut from you, right? I think David Lloyd and places like that, they do, right? And there's a reason why fucking PTs don't want to, because they don't make enough already.
Hold on, we'll dive into that now. But before we dive into that, then, so we've got the gym model. the commercial gym model. This is more like studio model, I'd call it, or like a private gym model. So just to clarify what that is, it's the gym will source you clientele or give you actually qualified leads, one of the two. You'll charge, let's say, £50 for the session. They will take a percentage, whatever percentage that is, and you will take the rest of the money home with you. Cool. So what was you saying now then about?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, there's PTs that don't put their, you know, their sessions in the book, so they still train their client, and then, you know, they don't have to then pay that price to the gym. And yeah, if it wasn't so steep, you know, it wouldn't be that way, right?
I think it's a difficult one because, like, I do understand it's a fine line to get right in terms of how to fairly compensate your coach versus making enough money to keep the lights on, maintain the gym, and get a profit. And it's something.
But is part of their revenue getting that from the PTs, or is that just added on extra bonus for them? Because their real model is how many people can we get into the gym, right? The memberships.
Yes, but like, I think it does link in because if someone's getting a personal trainer, that is client retention as well, like, or member retention, we'll say. And if someone's doing 30 sessions a week, if you've got 5 PTs doing 30 sessions a week, that's going to take a lot of wear and tear on the equipment versus a member that probably only comes once, twice a month kind of thing. So like, you will have the added costs of upkeeping the changing rooms, upkeeping the gym, etc. So like, I would say
maybe now with the PT is getting used properly rather than some geezer. Maybe because they're getting coached by a PT. The equipment gets used properly now, rather than getting absolutely battered by some geezer.
You might drive your car, but you still gonna need to change your brakes. Like, it's one of those things. So like, I do understand it, but it's just the balance of it that maybe needs revisiting. And like, obviously, like with a chain like David Lloyd, they have a set system, and I think it's fairly like. Do I agree with that? If it's at the time of my memory, it was like, let's say £50, they were taking 30 or 40 maybe, and there was incremental rises, but there's no way or shape or form you can do that.
One model in Singapore which I thought was pretty good when I was there is that you as a trainer, you buy a package. So you can buy, let's say you buy 100 sessions to the gym. That might cost you a certain amount of money, right? So then every time your client comes off, it's like, let's say $15, $20. So the bigger the package that you buy, the cheaper it is. Yeah. But then you have to make sure that you obviously use those sessions in a month. They have a time limit on them.
Because that sounds not in packages, but like, you've got them in London. Have you heard of them? So like, that's like a membership, and you pay like, I think it's like £150 a month. Yeah. And that gives you access to the facility, which is like a gym. You got like a workspace. It's quite cool. And then like, every session you pay, I think it's £30. But in like, they're all in like quite affluent places. So like, some PTs still charge like £60, which is, but like, a lot of PTs are charging 100, 120, 150, 180. If you're charging 180 and you're taking off £30, you're still taking home 150.
So do the clients still have to pay a membership?
No.
Okay.
No, so it's just literally you pay the membership and you get to, and it's all like, it's not a commercial gym. So unless you're a client, you don't train in that gym. The PTs can't even train in that gym, really. No? Not really. So it's just literally like a workspace. And I thought like, it sounds a bit, but it's actually a really good model from what I can see. And like, they have like add-ons where, I can't remember, I think it's like £500 or something, but you only, like, for a qualified client that wants PT, but you only pay that once the person signed up. So like, if you know your numbers and you know you keep clients for 10 months, it's like £500 a no-brainer. Yeah. But like, if you're gaining and losing clients, it might not be worthwhile. But I think it's quite a good model versus like all the others. The downside to that is there's no foot traffic. So you have to come there already established or have connections within the local area to be able to get referrals in.
But a lot of PTs are doing the solo 60 thing as well, right?
What's that?
It's like, it's basically a studio, right? And it's one in, one out, right? So then you pay a certain fee.
I've heard it.
And you
it's
go
just
in.
Your space.
Yeah. But some people use it to just train themselves. So they don't
Yes.
share the gym floor with anybody. And then, obviously certain PTs, they pay for that space to then train a client there.
And I think like there's loads of different models that are springing up, and like I think it's good because it's challenging the status quo, i.e. just pay £500. Like I think the bigger gyms need to, I say, up their game or do something to keep up, because if they stay how they are, they'll probably get left behind. But just closing the loop on the private gyms and like whatever else, like there was one example, and the reason why I smiled is because it was similar to mine. So like at M10, it was £50 a session. We would get 12 to 15, like depending on new trainer. So the 15 was the limit. And I spoke to a coach where they worked in a mirror image of M10. So like really good training studio, charge the same price to their clients, but the model was flipped on its head. So at M10, the gym got 35, we got 15. At this other place, the gym got 15, the trainer got 35. Now, I don't know how the finances of the other business allowed them to sustain that, but that seemed fair, whatever fair is to me, because as a coach, you have to be getting the lion's share of the personal training session that you're delivering. And like when you mentioned like David Lloyd model, they're getting most of their money off memberships. I believe this other gym was creating most of its revenue from elsewhere, which meant they could pay the trainer fairly and still deliver quality personal training. And I believe like the coaches that work at that gym, they stay for quite a while, but it makes it worth their while. And like when I say these numbers, like that might not be a good wage in London, but like in the north of England, wherever, it's like you can live off £35 an hour.
Well, even one of my clients works in a place in Singapore, and they have like there's more ways to make money. So if this client has gone past you with 100 sessions, you get a high percentage, right? So that increases your reason to retain this client, right? Because maybe if you get, let's say you get £30 per session in the beginning, they get past 50 sessions, all of a sudden you get 35. They get past 100 sessions, all of a sudden you get 45.
So it's rewarding retention.
Yeah. So then actually your commission can actually go up to 55% above, so you are getting the lion's share, but you have to keep that client.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like it's rewarding success, which is quite, and like
I like that. I really like that model.
Yeah, like and I think for me, because I think it's challenging for me to think about this dilemma and this topic, because I've only got experience as a PT, so I don't understand some of the responsibilities that come with running the facility and some of the overheads and some of the things you have to think about. But from my idealistic brain, I would love to give a PT like 80% and be able to afford to take 20, because you know that you're going to keep, like, especially if you're developing coaches, you develop them so they're amazing. Why wouldn't you want to keep them? It'd be like unrealistic or irresponsible to develop them, pay them poorly, so then they go and leave. It would be like if I could have the model where I get most of my revenue from members or wherever it comes from, and I develop these coaches, we create a world-class system and everyone's fairly compensated. And I understand, like, this is me just speaking about it. It's very different in practice.
This always happens in most industries. Like let's take football, for example, right? Homegrown talent never gets paid. They always get shafted. Like, was it fucking Curtis Jones is only like, I mean, he's still earning good P, right? But I think he's only like earning like 15 or 20K
relative to everyone else on the
300s. He's part of like the rotation, right? And meanwhile, you've got other people who are sitting on the bench earning 60K a week.
Yeah, and I think like
he has to leave, right, to get paid what he's worth.
Yeah,
and that's why players leave, right?
And it's true, and I think like it's a dilemma, like. So the three models we've covered, like a commercial gyms, semi-private gyms roughly, or studios, and then like the community spaces where you rent yourself. And like there are pros and cons to all three. And I think it's a challenge to get them all where everyone
is happy.
Everyone's happy. Like it's a very challenging thing.
There's always going to be a winner and a loser.
Yeah. So like just to wrap this up like quite succinctly, I think like if I was a starting out PT, I'd probably go through the systems kind of thing. So like you can start anywhere you want really.
Where would you start?
I would start in a gym, doing my classes 12 hours.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You start there?
100%.
Okay.
It's the easiest way to speak to people. Like you've got, gyms have like say 6,000 members, but only 1 or 2 active. Fine. I can speak to 100 people a week, 200 people a week, just calm. 3 months after doing that, you don't care about rejection anymore. because you just speak to people. You don't care. You get better at selling. You get better at holding a conversation. You teach classes. You get a skill set of how to look at 10 people a session, so you can look at how people move. You then, as a result of that, will probably fill your diary, which will give you some experience as a personal trainer. Cool. You've done that. I would then go to a private facility. They take the lion's share, but it's an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trading my time and money or potential earnings for experience. I get great at coaching. I would then probably go to the community space where like I pay a membership. There's no footfall, but I'm confident speaking to people. I know how to train people, so my client retention is great. I can probably take my client base from this private studio, or I've got no qualm developing a relationship with the local area to get referrals in, and then I can charge premium and my rent's pretty low. So I would kind of use all three, and this is like...
Would you not start at somewhere like a UP, like a M10?
You can, yes. But like I think with like an M10, like if I didn't go to the gym, like I wouldn't know how to get a client because I would feel like I can't leave because they give you clients. So they take away that responsibility to actually, like there's no pressure for me to go and speak to people. I did anyway because that's how I am, but there was no pressure to go and learn how to conversate, learn how to do an induction properly, learn how to have a sales call because the sales calls were taken care of. There's some vital skills that you might miss, which mean you feel chained to that place. So I think it's a part of the development, but maybe not the start. Or if it's a start, I would also then go and get skills in that commercial gym anyway.
Yeah, I think I would start at like, the M10s or the UPs because I feel like I was shit at everything when I started. So rather than working on maybe the sales side and the communication, like, you still get some clients, but maybe the clients that you get are not, you don't know how to necessarily deal with them too much. So I'd rather just be able to focus on the client, like really hone in that skill first, and then maybe when I feel like the time is right, I can leave, because then I don't need to focus on the coaching so much.
I do agree with that. Yeah,
because then you got the confidence of I can deliver a result.
Yeah,
when you have that confidence, it's so much easier to sell because you know what you're worth.
100%. And like, so for M10, I believe, I don't know how easy it would be to get a job, like literally just coming out of PT school with haven't been on any other gym floor. I'm not sure what it would be like at UP either. But if I was hiring, I don't care if you're shit. I just want to know you've done something.
You have to.
I've done something.
You're going to have to go through that to get to there.
Yeah, that's what I believe. And I might be wrong because I don't know how it worked at M10 because I only have my experience to go off and I was on the gym floor for a while. But if I was in the hiring position, I'd be a little bit skeptical for someone that's literally just come. I've got a qualification. I've never spoke to someone. I've never took a class. I've never done a session.
Yeah, you just wouldn't get that.
Yeah, you wouldn't get the opportunity, I don't believe, especially when you've got people that would be in the same position, like going for the same job, having done a little bit. So I do agree with what you're saying, but I think that would give you the opportunity to give you that, which then would give you the opportunity.
You kind of have to do that in order to get there. Yeah,
it's like if you're going to be a stage competitor, you probably won't just go to having bodybuilders. You'll have to have coached a general population client and got 5 kilos. Yeah. You'll have to have done a photo shoot transformation and got that result. Then you'll have to then learn the same process again.
You'll go up the ladder, innit?
Yeah, so cool.
Ideal world, you'd love to, right?
Yeah.
But
right. Should we wrap that one up there?
Yeah, man.
Cool.
So that's it for today's episode. If you want to chat more about the gym rent model, share your experiences, or maybe even get help finding the business model that suits your coaching style, hit us up. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Gym with Him, and my co-host is Jewade at Jewade Graham Coach. As always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Peace.